Then I'll go ahead and call the Budget Committee to order. We do have some minutes for both. It was a joint meeting of Budget and Finance, but we can still approve the budget part.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. And Mr. Finance Director, I'll let you go from here.
I'm checking to be sure these are on. Are these on? No? Okay. Hold on a minute.
Where did everybody go unless seeing anybody?
What about this one? There we go.
I don't see anybody.
Can't answer that question. Aaron, is he in here? Yeah. She says she can't see anybody. Every time somebody says Aaron, he and I both turn around, so. As far as what's in your packet, your normal monthly report is in there. I don't have anything in particular that I want to say to you on that. Things, again, continue to trend in a very positive direction. Your fund balance report is in there. I've asked for that report to be modified, which Joe Good has handled for me, so it shows everything from the beginning of the year, and that beginning of the year fund balance represents the actual. You know, we adopted our budget early this year, so we started with an estimate. We changed it, so this changes it to reflect actual. And then from that point down is every budget amendment that's been made all year long. So if you have any questions about a specific budget amendment or you don't remember, they're all there. The revenue report, something I promised you this year. If you look at the general fund, and this is, by the way, just so there's no confusion, this is January through, the July through January. So, you know, we're looking at cumulative. You've received in the general fund, about page 3, through January of 2021, you've received $39,854,500. Same time last year, you had received $35,410,000, so we continue to be about $4 million ahead, which is kind of where we've been for a while now. Property tax, I will take you back on the first page of the budget, the very first page of the finance report. You know, you have received 65.96% of your property tax revenue. Obviously, you'll see a big chunk rolling in February because stuff becomes delinquent after February. So everything is pretty much ahead of where it was, with the exception of hotel motel tax, which does continue to bounce back. It's still not at pre-COVID levels by any stretch, but we are receiving a much larger share than we were receiving earlier in the year. So that kind of concludes my report, unless you guys have any specific questions for me.
Will the report be received, in 5? All right, so we supposed to say that now?
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to receive a report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Any opposed, same sign? Okay.
Budget amendment request, you want me to go ahead and do those? First one in your packet is for the county clerk. Basically, they're not asking for any new money. They're asking to move money from some existing lines because they're running short in postage.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the amendment for county clerk. Any additional questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Unanimous.
The next one, you guys will recall that we got, or you received laptops, which is something you've been after for years for the county commissioners. This would allow IT to purchase docking stations, wireless mouse, and keyboards. Am I leaving anything out, Aaron? Has that got it covered?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what that would be for.
Motion to approve.
Motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. It's kind of curious how many people have, do you have any idea how many people have requested that equipment?
All but 5 or 6.
Really?
Yep. I have a list of them in my office.
I want me to.
5 or 6.
It's kind of curious how many people had requested it, and I'm being told that everybody but 5 or 6 people have requested that. And neither.
No.
So, okay, but if that many people are wanting it. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any additional comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay,
As I was doing a review of the various departments and their budget to actual, the judicial commissioners kind of jumped out at me. If y'all remember, Grant Gardner was interim director. He had quite a bit of accumulated vacation time when he left. And when he left, we paid him out, and we never made a budget amendment to reflect. So if we don't make a budget amendment to reflect all the accrued vacation we paid him out, obviously we're going to be over budget, and that's what this one does.
Motion to approve.
Second.
having a motion and a second to approve the amendment for judicial commissioners. Any other comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
One comment on that.
Aye.
Our director started today, so I talked to her for an extended amount of time.
Who's speaking? I can't hear.
Our judicial commissioner director, she started today, and I talked to her for an extended amount of time, and she's working hard, and she's excited to be here. So I'm looking forward to some great things from the department.
Okay. Was there any opposed to that motion? That was unanimous then.
Yeah, the next one is very similar. Out at the landfill, we have an employee retiring, and this is what's needed to pay out their accrued vacation time.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve amendment for landfill. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous.
Sheriff, do you want to speak to the next one, or do you want?
Which microphone do I need to use?
That's a good question. That one, and, yeah, any of the commissioners are live, I know.
I sit here, Miss Joey.
Yes.
It's a budget amendment, to move some money from, the courtroom security fund over into, law enforcement equipment. It's $35,000. That money is being used over here at the College Street building. The technical equipment, cameras, DVRs and stuff is, getting outdated, and we're putting Band-Aids on it, and it really needs to be replaced, and that's what this money will be for.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second.
Second.
And any other comments, questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Veteran services, basically, again, they're just moving money within existing lines, out of office equipment into communications, dues and memberships, and office supplies, just to cover funds that they need for the remainder of the fiscal year.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the amendment for veteran services. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous.
And the next one from the ambulance fund, two things. One is the permits for the private ambulance services. They've received some more money there. They've also received money for the sale of a surplus, I believe it was an ambulance. So it's $3,993 that they've asked to be put into health equipment, which would be cardiac monitors. And,
Second.
Motion.
Have a motion and a second to approve amendment for WEMA. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion approved.
WEMA was running short with the COVID cases and runs that they're having to make, and having employees out also due to COVID. They were running short on overtime pay, medical supplies, and maintenance and repair of equipment. They are moving money out of temporary personnel to cover part of the overtime. They're moving money out of other equipment to take care of some of the maintenance and repair, or take care of all of the maintenance and repair. But they need $280,000 from fund balance to get through the year in overtime.
So will this any of this from over? I know you said you're moving it around, but any of this, will we get any of this back from COVID?
Commissioner Stafford, that's an excellent question. We all know there's another COVID bill that's been passed, and we expect there'll be some more made available to us, but I don't have any specific information on how much we're getting or anything at this time, but I would assume that we would get some of it back.
I believe some of that, I mean, some of the money that we're seeing in surplus right now is already covered that we got, the 1.9 that we got. And this next one that I did check on it that came in, it's not good until August of 21, 22. So it'll be next budget.
Gotcha.
Well, that's possible. It will not affect this budget here. So, yeah, but I mean, we've got, I mean, the money that we've been given in two different funds for sure.
Yeah,
That's what this
2.1
is
million and then 1.9 million that we received. Yeah. The last thing I have here, I don't think anybody ever, sorry.
for. Motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other comments?
I did.
Mayor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And we're in the unanimous.
Aaron, before you go to that, didn't Joey and them have some surplus equipment the other night that they got approved, and it would need to be approved here too to sell?
I will check that. If we'll let GC go, and I'll go check that.
Yeah, it
That
was-
packet.
It was 15 Larry just.
You're right. It didn't make it in the packet. So I'll let GC go first, and I'll get the surplus property. I think we have some property to declare surplus for WEMA. If y'all let me do this real quick, then I'll let GC go, then we'll do the surplus property.
Joey's here.
Joey's here, okay, yeah. But he wouldn't have his list of property. Yeah, I'll just have to go, it'll be in my office.
Okay.
Yeah.
JC, you'll have to come up here to one of these microphones.
Yeah, the last thing on ClearGov, Commissioner Jones, I believe it was, had asked about the $20,750. So I got back with, trying to think of the gentleman's name, Ryan. I got back with Ryan, and the $20,750, if you look under the subscription services about midway down the page, the Civic Edition includes budgeting, forecasting, and benchmarking models. But then the second one, the budget book suite, includes the budget book and the capital request modules. So all the $20,750 would allow you to do would be to do the budget in ClearGov. It would not allow you to do the budget book in ClearGov. So if that's all we were going to do, then my option would be not to do it. The option 2 that he gave me down below was if you just want those two things, then the total price would be $27,431.25 as an alternate proposal. If you only want the budget book, the budget preparation and budget book modules.
Were you able to ask him, Aaron, if we go with that for 1 year, would he honor the 3-year deal at the end of that if you're satisfied?
I did not. I apologize, sir. I forgot about that. I was sidetracked on this. We talked quite a bit about this. So I forgot to ask him. There's a built-in, what's built in to the contract is a 3% annual increase. That's what's built into the contract.
I just worry about signing on to a contract, multi-year, and then you're not satisfied with it.
Well, the good news is it's not a 3-year deal. It's cancelable by either party with, I believe, 60 days written notice.
So there's no contract.
There's no commitment. There's no long-term commitment. If we were to do it and hate it, which I don't think will be the case, we can get out.
This 27,431 is what you recommend we start with?
Yeah, it would take, he's broken it down for you a little bit up above that, what you would need for The remainder of this year would be the 16,190.63, and then into the next budget year, it would be the 27,431.25, and that would cover all 12 months of next year. So they prorated part of it into this year and part of it in the next year. The whole thing in the next year, of course.
But if you're satisfied with it come budget time, we're gonna have to add this into your budget.
Yeah, you got two choices. Again, as I was telling him, I don't know where we are as far as going forward for sure. If we're gonna go forward this year, we have to do it like now. If we're gonna do it, for the 21-22 budget, actually, we'll be doing the 21-22 budget. So the 22-23 budget, then it would be something that would need to be considered during needs.
Motion to go ahead with it.
So Aaron, your recommendation is option B, 27,431?
I'm fine with that option to start. I think there's some stuff in the other part of it that would be very useful for us going forward. But as I mentioned the other night, I mean, this is going to be a building process. So if what I have to start with is A and B, and we decide to add C later, that's okay with me. You know, I don't think this is something that I see continuing to improve over time. You know, first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our budget adopted in it and get our digital budget book together. That digital budget book every year will get a little bit better because there'll be more narrative stuff added. To say I could get it all up to where I would like it to be in one budget cycle is probably not accurate, but the software itself will function. It will integrate with Skyward. There won't be any keystroke errors back and forth. The budget book will be available online. It will be virtually live in terms of when you're looking at the budget on the website. It will be the most current version of the budget. It won't be the one that we passed, back in June or whatever.
So we need to revisit this at the end of this budget year or the end of next budget year?
I would say the next budget year. Next budget year is when we would revisit whether we want to go.
That in our motion?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I
Question
don't
for you also. What are we losing out on the transparency, the projects, and the dashboard modules?
What you're losing out on is an ability. The main thing for me is an ability for the citizens to go out there and see, when I pay property taxes, where do my property taxes go, is one example. So for an individual taxpayer, they can look at, if they pay $2,000 in property taxes, they can see this much goes to fund public safety, this much goes to fund general government, this much goes to fund schools, this much to roads. They can see that. The other main part that you're missing out on, which I think some departments will really like, others may not like as much, but I think over time, again, I think it's something that will grow, is the ability to communicate with citizens in terms of information that you get quite often, like WEMA. How many calls are we responding to? This is part of the transparency thing where they can get out there and look and see the demand on WEMA services. How many, the same thing with the sheriff's department. Numbers that you guys see all the time, but that really the general public isn't very aware of. So that's where I see it going. I tried a few years ago and I haven't been able to keep it up to date. I would like to. I tried several years ago to get a service efforts and accomplishments report off the ground where we were kind of able to tie, this is what we're doing with the tax dollars that we receive. Particularly, it was centered on public safety because those were two of our bigger entities and they were the two that were willing to participate at the time. And I thought it produced an extremely useful report. I'll be happy to provide a copy of the one that we did to anybody who never saw it. I see this going forward as a tool for us to better communicate with people what exactly is happening in the various parts of the county and the various departments.
So you actually prefer the 35,150 package?
I do, sir, but I'm willing to accept whatever you guys are willing to give me.
That's what I'm asking you is,
That being said, I do, because I don't know if I go back, if I take option A and B and I go back and say I want option C now, I don't know that I'm going to get the discount you know, which is okay. I mean, if you look at above, I mean, the above numbers, you start with 2,750 and then 12,500 and then 11,500 and you get a $9,600 discount. You almost, I mean, you get that third part of the suite for about $2,000, you know.
Personally, I prefer to go ahead and do the first one, to add the transparency, because that's the biggest thing I like about the entire program,
Yes.
is to be transparent for the public, to have an easy way that's not all muddled down, that
Yes.
they can get on there and see exactly where their dollars are going for.
Right.
Because I think it would make it easier on us,
Yeah.
as far as people representing them, to know where the money's going for. So if they see that, okay, the money's going for schools, this, that, which we try to explain, but if they're like me and like to dig down into the numbers,
Yes.
I think this would be a great asset to make our job easier.
I think so too. I'm excited about it. I think it's got a lot of potential. I again want to tell everybody that this is going to be a process. It's not going to happen immediately, but it will. A lot of this stuff will be a lot of this stuff will be pre-populated with data from the U.S. Census Bureau and different things. I think a lot of that stuff about where your tax dollars go will be pre-populated. Other parts of it will have to be built. So.
Wait, have you talked to the other departments and have they agreed to pay a fair portion, or are we gonna just cover it all?
Right now, we would be covering it all. I've spoken to some others. I have not had a specific discussion about how much they would be willing to cover, or let's put it this way. I haven't specifically asked them the question, and they haven't volunteered. So by their not volunteering, yes. But they did, for example, when we were doing Skyward. When we made the transition to Skyward, you know, they came and told me this is how much we're willing to pay. So, you know, in this case, you know, we haven't gotten that, and that's okay. If everybody is hung up on the school system paying for part of it, and I hate to even go down this road, but I'm going to, you know, you can hold, if you want them to be a shared participant, you can hold $15,000 out of their growth money if you want to. I mean, in essence, that's the same thing as them paying for it.
Really wouldn't consider it in the school system. I was thinking more of the road commission.
Yeah.
And also the, our dump.
Yes. You know.
That's the two I was considering.
Yeah.
As far as putting in a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm great with approaching them about it. Here's where we sit tonight. You know, based on the budget timeline, the budget worksheets go out the last week of February. Now, they're building this as we speak. They've been building it for a while because we basically entered into a contract basically saying pending county commission funding. So if you guys chose not to fund it or choose not to fund it, we walk away, no problem.
I think Commissioner Jones,
Yeah,
You-
let's
Yeah.
withdraw the motion I made a while ago, was seconded, and change it to accept option A. And the school system can join on at any time if they so.
The school system will be part of this.
I'm not talking about money.
Right. First off,
They would.
we produce a joint budget book with the school system. The school budget will be included. The only question is whether they will prepare their budget using this or whether they will update, as like we're talking about, where it's always the most current version of the budget when somebody's looking, whether they will choose to update in that fashion. They will be in this without a doubt because we don't produce a budget book for the county and then a separate budget book for the school system.
If they so choose 3 months down the road or whenever, they could fix it where they update their balances just like the county.
They have already gotten data from the school system out of Tyler Technologies to be sure that they could do for them what they were promising us that they could do. And so far, everything is, you know, they have said they can do it all, even 2 different accounting softwares, the whole bit, they can make it work
At this same price,
at the same price.
motion.
Mayor Hutto, have you had commissioners contact you concerning this in any particular way?
No.
Okay.
I second.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to approve the $35,150 for the ClearGov option A. There is a second. Okay, any comments or questions? No. No, it's just the 22, the 20, that first, that 22,075, that's not part of, that's not an addition to the 35, right?
That's,
No, basically, as it spells out right there, it's the setup fee and a 6-month prorated subscription fee. So it's basically going to build your budget for 21-22 for $22,075, okay?
So that's
gonna-
what we're paying, that's what we're gonna pay
That's,
today.
it's going to, right, it's going to build your budget. If you keep it, it's going to build your budget for the following year for $35,150.
Or do we need to sit there and approve the 22,075 to do it from now to the July 1st?
I think if you approve, it's up to you, okay? If you approve the 35, obviously the 22 will come out of that. The 35 will become part of the continuation budget, and it won't show back up in front of you as a need on a needs list, which is why I'm presenting it as the 35.
I'd rather do the 22,075
Yeah,
during the budget and go ahead and approve then the 35,150.
yes, that's fine.
Wait a minute now. Do you have,
At least give them an opportunity to know whether they like it.
We're gonna like it for sure.
do you have that option since you've entered into a 3-year deal, but you can opt out after a year?
No, somebody asked me about a 3-year deal. There really isn't a 3-year deal.
Okay, I misunderstood.
Yes.
My bad.
Okay, Tommy, do you amend your motion to what he said, 22,075?
let me understand what William's saying. You wanna pay the 22,075.
Well, that's what he's paying.
Yeah, but then you wanna, at budget time, add this into his budget, where it won't have, we won't have to be taking out the
Right.
general fund every time.
Yeah, I don't wanna do extra if there's only charging 22,075.
That's what we have to pay that's what we have to pay through June 30 of 2021.
Right, and then the 35,150.
That covers through June 30, 2021. Now, I think what you are entering into is an annual obligation, okay?
So
So,
that's why it needs to be put into your budget
right.
and come out of it.
What I'm saying is, I think the subscription date, and I can pull this, I think the subscription date will begin on the day that the county commission appropriates the funding, and I'll call ClearGov and give them the go-ahead. That's when the subscription date will begin. Within 60, and it's a 1-year term. Within the,
Okay, I got another question to add to that before you get that far. This $4,500, that's a one-time bill, is that to be added to the $22,075?
no,
Or is that included?
no, that's all included. That's all included.
So the $4,500 is included in the $22,075?
Yes.
Thank you.
So Tom, you gonna keep your motion the way it is?
Well, I'm not really understanding what Williams wanting to do.
Well, all we owe is 22,075.
Tell me again, William.
We just owe the $22,075 to get it going, set up, and to get us through June. And then we can deal with the 35,000 during the budget season and put that into his budget
But
at
in
that
theory,
time.
we need to put it in Aaron's budget, so we don't have to make an appropriation out of the general fund every year if he keeps it. Is that what?
Right. And yeah, I
That's
think,
the way we need to do it.
I think what we're saying is, you know, the rest of the money, the 35,150 going forward, we will approve during the needs process, which it's really 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. So I don't think I've stated this clearly enough. You're talking about a 1-year term. This is prorated, covering 2 different fiscal years. Okay? They built a platform. It'll get you to build your budget, et cetera, through, for this year, it'll get you through June 30. 7-1 is they make quite quite clear here. You're going to get a bill on July the 1st for $35,150 for the following year. I think it would be through that year, not all the way through, within 60 days of, so in January or December of next year, I would have to express my intent not to renew at that point. So I think basically you're going to be committed for both, is what it boils down to.
So my question is this, is how workable would they be, since we're so close to this year? They got to set it up anyway, that we couldn't get 35 to cover, because I'm only talking about March, April, May, and June. I'm only talking about 4 months.
Yeah.
To get our business, could we say, hey, we're going to give you 35, and that's going to cover me to the following budget season starts?
Yeah.
Is there, I mean, because he's asking for 35 and 22 for 4 months.
Yes, I can certainly approach him with that. Now, again, Mayor, it's okay with me, and I've made it clear from the start. This is something I want. It's not something I have to have.
I understand that.
So, that being said, you know, I can't start one way and shift back to another. So, if you want to give me a contingent approval based on them agreeing to something, then I can go back and see if they'll agree, and that's what I can bring to the floor that's what I can bring to the county commission. But if I don't pass out of here tonight, as far as I'm concerned, it's a dead issue.
Well, and so in my mind, whatever the committee approves is what you can go with. But if you
Yeah.
could get him to give you 16 months for the 12-month price,
Yes.
I'm sure we would be okay with that.
And I will relay that message and twist his arm, and
But I know you got to have a plan
Because-
coming out of here, and
Yeah.
they're working on
What
that.
we're really voting on is $57,000.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're voting on, again, you couldn't, so the way that you're thinking about it would be this: I do my 21, 22 budget in Skyward, and then July 1, I sign up for this, and I do my 22, 23 budget in ClearGov. That's the other option. Now, that being said, I've got, if I get it July 1, while I will work on it some, most of the work on the budget is done in the 3 or 4 months leading up to budget time. Okay, so basically, if you give it to me in July, it's going to sit there a lot. I'll do my best to get to it and update it, but you know, as we went through last night, I'm a lot more now directly responsible in terms of dealing with the auditors. I'm a lot more directly responsible in terms of dealing with all the questions that my employees and departments and you guys have on a day-to-day basis. And it's, while I'll certainly try to farm this out to other people, certainly the sheriff's department could look at that transparency module and decide what they liked and what information they might like to share. Everybody could look. We could do what we could to build going forward. But, I mean, you're really doing most of your budget work in a 3 or 4 month period of time. And I'm good with it, whatever you want to do.
Is it coming out of general fund?
Yes, ma'am.
So how do you guys feel about just going ahead and doing the whole 57,000 at one time? Don't have to worry about it until next budget, well, the year after that budget time.
If you pass the 35,150, that would give me the 22,075 that I needed for this year, and it would put in the budget for next year the 35,150 that I need for the next fiscal year. So if you pass the 35,150, that would take care of all of it.
Okay.
I still like the mayor's idea of trying to get the 16.
And I will do that. I will do that.
Tommy, I can't hear you. Tommy, I can't hear you.
I said, I'm still in favor of, like the mayor, I'd like to see the 16,000 taken plumb off of it if we could.
I'll go to him tomorrow and basically tell him that, look, it's kind of like this. If I can't get this, I'm not sure we can make a deal and see what they'll do.
So can we approve a motion contingent on that?
You sure can.
You could approve the 35 like he asked for, and then if he can get it, if that covers his 16 months, we're good to go. Because if I understand you right, we approved the 35, 150 tonight, you enter in the contract. Somewhere out in next budget season, you got to come back for the 22, because
No.
the 22, as it says here, they're going to ask you for, you told me a while ago, on February the 15th, they're going to ask for 22,000.
Yep.
And they're going to ask you for 35 more on July 1st.
But it'll already be in my budget because July 1st is a new fiscal year.
I understand it being in
Yes.
your budget, but you know what I'm saying. You're getting 35 and 35, so at the end of the day, you really got 70.
Right.
I got that.
Yeah.
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 So, yeah. So we approved 35 and you can get them to 35 for the whole year. That would be good for me.
I will shoot for that,
Okay.
for sure.
I would like to make a motion that we go ahead with the 35,150 and also squeeze their arm as much as you can to try to get the 16,190.63.
I promise I will do so.
Okay,
Get some of that.
that motion's already been made,
Oh, I'm sorry.
and a second.
He added 16,000, he added 16,190.63 with his motion.
No. Just the 35. 35,
Squeeze for 16,000 too.
150, it was the motion, with the understanding that Aaron is going to do his best to get as much time out of that as possible.
Thank you.
Tommy, is that your motion?
Yes, but I do have another question. If they don't accept that, where does that leave us?
I think where that leaves us is I come back to you. I think the best thing for me to do is if I don't get what we're asking for, is for me, first off, I will have a budget amendment in the packet for the 35,150. So the best thing for me to do is to come back to you on the night of the county commission meeting and say, I was either able to make this deal where we've got 35,150 covering us for the next 16 months, whatever it happens to be, or I don't. You guys will still have the option as a body of approving or denying that request.
That'd be
And
fine.
he won't need any extra money for the next year because the 35 will renew.
Hey, Aaron, I'd also ask them, even if they won't do the 16 months, because it's set for 6 months prorated subscription fee,
Yes.
and it's already at 4, working on 3 months.
Yeah.
So maybe they,
And their counter argument is going to be, their counter argument is going to be, because I already talked to them about this, was we were haggling over price, because I told them previously, that he said, are they hung up on the money? I said, yeah, absolutely. They're hung up on $35,000. And he looked and he said, well, really, if you see on this document, it refers to us as, it refers to Tier 4. If you see out there, Tier 4. He said, really, if I put the school system in there, y'all are really a Tier 5. So I'm really already giving you probably about as good a break as I can give you, because when we look at the dollars in your budget, once we throw the school system in there, you should really be a Tier 5 and be quite a bit more expensive.
When did you sign your deal, subject to county commission funding? What day did you sign that?
It was actually back in December.
That's what the time will run. It'll run from December to December,
okay,
because we've already signed the contract. Nothing wrong with that.
December,
It's subject to funding.
December, June.
Yeah. So it still helps him get what he needs for this budget year, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Joey's got a question.
Well, I don't know if it's a question or a statement, but I think that that's a lot of money for the amount of money we're looking at to come off. Now, if they counteroffer, what would we accept then?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, all I can do, if you guys approve, is, I know we got a motion and a second on the floor. All I can do is come back to you the night of the county commission meeting with, this is what the final offer is. And
Is
then,
somebody talking? I can't hear.
I'm sorry, Miss Annette, it's me. I said, all I can do, if you guys approve the 35, is come back to you after I have done some arm twisting and say, this is final best offer I can get. And then it'll be up to you guys to decide at that point whether or not it's something you want to do. It will, at least at that point, I'll know going forward whether I'm doing the budget in ClearGov or I'm doing the budget the way we've always done it between Skyward and Excel. So,
Okay, there's a motion on the floor for 35,150. There's a second, with understanding that Aaron will do his best to get 16 months out of the 35,150. Any additional comments or questions? What was that? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. I'm hearing myself. You're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Tonight I bring you can you hear? Is this mic on or not? Okay, can you hear? Okay,
If you want to go to the front podium, you can do that, whichever one you want to do.
I'm good here if it's good for everybody. Okay, thank you. We're good? Okay. Tonight I bring you a payment in lieu of tax proposal that's been approved by the Executive Committee of the Joint Economic Development Board. This project is looking at a to-build facility at the Speedway. As an update out there are 5 buildings that's been built already. We've not done any abatement out there to this point. This is a pad that Panattoni would build at an estimated $32 million. The company would be required, or the company would come in and spend about $48 million to upgrade that building. This is a pharmaceutical medical company. They make medical products. That's about all I can share with you right now. I can tell you it's non-hazardous. It's a plastic-based product. We all know it. If we've ever given blood and done things of this nature, you've probably seen some of these things. So the build out would require a lot of clean rooms, a lot of research area in there, a lot of air changing units, things of that nature. The company would come in and buy the building, improve the building. They'd spend an additional $12 to $13 million of equipment. In doing that, they would actually start the building this year. They'd be in full production sometime the end of next year, end of third quarter or fourth quarter of next year. About 100 management jobs and about 1,100 production jobs. The average wage, as we can see, is about $21.63. That is above our county wage. It is a manufacturing facility. We do an independent economic study of this. How much money brings in by materials that they buy to construct the building? If you look at 1,200 jobs, how many times do those wages turn over in your economy? And then we charge them as 10% of their personal property tax, which is about $57,000. Altogether, that works out about $24 million over 7 years. Our abatement is about $6 million, so it gives us a 4-to-1 ratio. Now, we probably all know that we're not going to have 1,200 people from Wilson County working there. So if you just say you have 500 or 600 people from Wilson County working there, that's still a 2-to-1 ratio. It's not to say that we won't have more than that there. The state of Tennessee, I can tell you, is investing heavily in this project. The TVA is also investing heavily in this project. It is between us, a place in Utah, and Mexico, my understanding. I tell you that we've done 4 projects of 7 years. Our guidelines is that that's the maximum amount that any pilot can receive. Those 4 projects was the tile company, the original Amazon project that's on 840, Under Armour, and Rooms to Go. So this is a extended period, typically in a distribution project. We've been 4 or 5 years. This is a 7-year pilot. It's not the most that we've ever abated. We're looking at about $5.9 million in this. We have done The one, the porcelain project, was 800,000 square feet building. That was about $6 million total. So I'll just bring you up to date. We've done 21 pilots since 2006. Yes, when the project started. Next year, the Nissan building would come on after this year. In January of next year, they'll own their $460,000. At the end of 22, we have 2 other projects coming off. That's the Federal Express building, and that's the Maplehurst Bakery. And combined, that's about $600,000 there. So we're getting some back on the tax roll. I think it's a really good project because it is manufacturing. It is the type of jobs I think it can spin off some other projects. As we said, this is the 5th building out at Panatone in that park, and we've not done a pilot out there. The executive committee looked at it. They think it's the type of project that we'd like to have. I'd be glad to answer what questions I can. Again, no hazardous materials or nothing like that out there. A lot of money that goes into the building, and the company will own the building. So it's not like they're leasing a building, and certainly when they do all the work out there, it's going to be a medical production building. I would ask for your consideration and approval, and can answer any questions that you may have.
Talking to another commissioner this evening, Mr. Hicks, and he wanted to know, could we offer it for 5 years?
We've started there. We've negotiated up to this point. Again, a 4-to-1 ratio is a really good number. I understand. I can tell you we always start low, and this has been going on since about November. In fact, this project name, Santa, actually the formal request for proposal came out on Christmas Eve. And that's, I don't name these for anyway, but certainly our logistics projects, we look at that return and investment. How much money do we get back in a short period of time? I know it's a big number, but you know, it's not like in the old days where at one time we offered a 40-year abatement for a electric company one time, and I think we do a good job in looking at evaluating the projects. So I appreciate the commissioner's concern, and Mr. Jones, certainly your question.
One more question now for me.
Yes, sir.
Do we, I don't know what the word is, but do we go back and check and make sure these companies are doing the things they've promised to do, like providing the number of jobs that they say?
We check them every year during the period. Also, if we're doing a pilot, probably 90% of the time, the state's also doing something with them. They're required to do annual reports for them. I get those reports.
So somebody's looking out for our interest.
We've only had one project, and that was the plastic company out at 109 that probably went out of business in 3 years, and we had a 6-year abatement with them. That building's been on the tax roll as soon as they went out. So we do monitor those. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Did
we'll,
you say, DC, that the state was involved, so if the state's involved, they're gonna make sure they watch their money too, right?
They've made a substantial payment or a direct cash. It's not training dollars, but it's, I did the application today from the state in case we're fortunate to do this. I don't want to get in front of the press and say what that number is, but it's a substantial number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 figure, almost 8.
okay, William made a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any additional comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. And it's unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the committee and the county commission.
Okay, Aaron, we're doing something.
Yeah, the last thing that I handed you, and thank you, County Attorney, for reminding me, is under item 2, surplus that happened at the MA committee the other night. So there's two things here under surplus. We have 15 King Vision video laryngoscopes. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. 12 declare surplus to be sold, 3 declare surplus and donate to Trousdale County EMS, and then 30 King Vision blades declare surplus to be sold, 18 declare surplus and donate to Trousdale County EMS 12. So those were the two surplus requests that went through EMA the other night.
Okay, entertain them.
Sale.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Any questions? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? And that was approved. Okay, any old business? Any new business? One other motion?
Adjourn.
Thank you very much for attending.